been selected. Your bill has been paid. Your warranty is about to expire. Is there anything more obnoxious than this sort of thing? But let me point out something really quickly as a sort of a thing to clue those of you in who maybe aren't really all that cluey about this kind of thing. Every one of these is generic. They do not ever say anything about you or about what you've been selected for or about what warranty is going to expire or whatever it happens to be. They really don't say anything about that. So keep that in mind when you encounter this sort of thing. I want to talk today on the subject of You've Been Selected on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, Tom Curtin. Today is Thursday, the 14th of April of 2022. Welcome to everyone who's there on the Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page, the Kurt's Religion and Politics page on Facebook, on kurtzreligionandpolitics.locals.com, on mindsminds.com, and on the Kurt's Religion and Politics group primarily there, on Parler, on Gab, on Twitter, or wherever else you happen to be picking me up today. And again, the subject for today is You've Been Selected. I'm going to go through my notes really quickly to kind of give you an idea of where I'm going. I promise you this, where I'm not going is to try and hoodwink you into some activity or some illicit thing of any kind. Congratulations, you've won. Your bill has been paid. Who hasn't gotten this email, text, or even phone call? I want to look at both halves of this whole. I want to speak to both the people sending these nuggets and those of you who've received them. I'll start by wondering who falls for this stuff. I'm really genuinely curious about that. I honestly am wondering. People must be taken in, or the folks who send such messages, email, and make such phone calls, automated or not, would stop cold. It's like advertising, same concept. Maybe it's specifically folks who have mental issues of one sort or another, and I promise I'm not trying to take a shot at such folks. Maybe it's people who are not particularly well educated. Same thing applies to those individuals. I don't want to take a shot at anybody. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm trying to do. Most of the time, the various communications offered are horribly bad. As I say, they're almost always very, very generic, and they use URLs and so forth that are very obviously not related to the things that we're talking about. But I want to express my condolences to those going through a present wave. That is, if you've got a bunch of this going on. I currently do, particularly in the text world, and I really don't care for it, and it's a pain in the butt, and I'm just glad that it's mostly something I can very quickly dispense with. Obviously, maybe the most important thing I can say is don't fall for it. None of these people have your best interests at heart. If you didn't request something, and frankly, even if you did, unless you're sure you want to interact with such things, which I definitely do not suggest, find other better ways to communicate and do business. People sending you unsolicited texts, emails, and so forth, don't use those. Don't use those. I don't even care if it looks like it's your bank. Don't use those. Particularly not if they're putting hyperlinks in them and things of that sort. Don't ever give them your personal information in any kind of way. If somebody calls you and tries to weasel your personal information out of you, the answer is no. No. And by the way, the next thing I would say to that person is bye, if I said anything at all when I hung up the phone. To the folks sending or automating such things, you probably already are painfully aware, but you're wasting your time with me. If it's a call and it's unsolicited, and you can be pretty sure it always will be, I'm hanging up if I pick up to begin with. If it's a text, I'll pretty much never respond, and if I do, it will be with something like stop, right? That's the best you're going to get as a rule. Emails will be deleted, and if they ever get to me, before or instead of, if you prefer, being read. I'll read the subject or who it's from, and it'll go away. The reality is, even if I thought some percentage of what I received was meaningful, and you need to know, I don't. I just don't. The tremendous waste of time I spend just deleting or reading before ignoring such things makes it highly unlikely I'll ever find that out. Fact is, even if you're offering me something bona fide, something meaningful, some meaningful service, if you're doing so without me asking for it, that means you're immediately subject to being trashed or ignored. Thing is, I have enough going on in my life to not even bother to consider what you're, quote, offering, end of quote, if I didn't ask for it. And quite frankly, there comes a point where if I did ask for it, I may not care. Heck, I won't generally do anything but shut the salesman down at stores if I go to them at all with the standard I'm just looking when they try to talk to me. If I don't come and talk to you, you don't need to come and talk to me as a rule. You can watch for me to come looking for you, and that's the best you really ought to do. So maybe you don't care. But on the off chance that you do, remember this. If I find out you're sending me such things, excuse me, I'm not going to use you when I want what you provide, if I can do that. I'm not going to do it. If you send me crap that I'm not interested in when I'm not asking for it, when I am looking for it, I'll make sure that it's not you that I do that with. I'm pretty sure people listening on this podcast are not doing what you do, or who are not doing what you do, are largely in the same boat. They're largely the same. Okay, done with notes. Look, I'm going to say this again. Did you ask for that email? That text message? That phone call? If you didn't, it's spam. Whatever you want to call it, it's unsolicited, unwanted stuff. And if you really want that, you must really have a bad life. And you're fitting to make it worse. I'm just letting you know. You're going to make it worse if you keep that up. Wanting that sort of thing. If it's got some even relatively believable URL in it, look at it closely and make sure that the URL behind the scenes is not different from the one that you're about to click on. Because a lot of times what will happen, so anybody who knows anything about HTML knows there's this tag called an anchor tag. And in the anchor tag, you can put what's called an href, which is the reference, the place where you're actually going. And then you could put text. And that's why you'll see links that say things like go to Google instead of http://www.google.com, because somebody can do that. So by the same token, somebody can put as the text the Google URL and then put behind the scenes something that has nothing to do with Google. So I'm just going to tell you, if you allow yourself to be taken in by texts and so forth that you didn't ask for, even if they seem dire, oh, your bank account is being closed due to fraudulent activity, don't believe it. Go to the bank, not to the text or whatever. Go to the bank, to their website, on their phone or whatever. Talk to them. Do not even reply. Do not pick up the phone if it's a number you don't know most of the time. But if you do, find out who it is. And if they won't tell you, hang up. And if they tell you and it's somebody that you don't want to hear from, hang up. Right? If it's somebody you didn't ask for, hang up. If it's somebody who claims to be somebody who knows you, find some way to determine that. Or even better yet, tell them I'll call you when I'm ready to talk. Okay? Better yet, hang up. Same thing applies to text. If somebody sends you a text and you didn't ask for it, ignore it. If somebody sends you an email and you don't know where it came from and you didn't ask for it, ignore it and really delete it. And if you have some phishing report that you can file, if it's a work email or whatever, great, do that. Do that. And that'll probably delete it for you. But my point, what I'm trying to say to you is for you who are getting these things, please don't egg these guys on. Please don't egg them on. They're going to get people who are going to do it anyway, but make it as expensive as you can by not responding in any meaningful way. For those of you that are sending such things, I'm going to say this again. Look, my viewers, I don't have very many, but my viewers, I'm guessing, are not dumb people, and I'm betting that they're not going to be happy to be getting your garbage. I just want you to know that. And by the way, again, if they can trace that thing, whatever it is, to you, and you come in, they find themselves in need of whatever it is that you're providing, and they go looking and they see you, I hope that they're going to be smart enough to say, not this one, because this one is spamming me. This one is phishing or doing whatever. Okay, I'm getting to that point where I'm about done with my day. I think I've pretty much made my point. If you're sending these things, my answer to you is what I would say in my text. Stop. You're not going to get me to do anything with them. In fact, all you're doing is clogging up the pipes with what you're putting out there. Wherever it is, whether it's on phone as a call, whether it's on phone as a text, whether it's on email, wherever it is, that's all you're doing. You want to advertise on a web page somewhere, great. For those of you who are listening, hear the sound of my voice, please don't respond to these things with anything but deletion, stop, or something similar if you respond to them at all. Okay, I need to go ahead and wrap things up. This has been the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, Tom Curtin. Today is Thursday, the 14th of April of 2022. That is almost that weekend. I get tomorrow off just because of where I work. They happen to take what they refer to as Good Friday off, which is what tomorrow is, Friday the 15th of April of 2022, which happens to be Good Friday. And for those of you that are aware, it's actually technically tax day as well in the United States for federal income taxes. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, on BitChute, on CloudHub, on my Facebook page, which would be the Kurt's Religion and Politics page on Facebook, on Kurt's Religion and Politics.locals.com, on Minds, MINDS.com, and again, that generally would be the Kurt's Religion and Politics page where you'll find me on a regular and ongoing basis, on Parler, on Gab, on Twitter, wherever else you happen to be picking me up today. Subject for today has been You've Been Selected, and again, obviously, I'm not trying to get you to buy into anything. I'm trying to tell you about, warn you about, that sort of thing. Tomorrow's subject is sort of related, but it's sort of not, and it is eating my time, and it has to do with people doing things that they think are going to cause me to continue on some course of action by various tactics that people are employing. And this happens a lot, funnily enough, on phone apps, particularly on games. I can't speak about many others, but oftentimes on games it happens. I'll get into that again and obviously in more depth tomorrow. Hope you're having a good day today. Hope everything is going well for you, and I hope to see you again on Friday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This podcast was created on Thursday, the 14th of April of 2022. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching today's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Don't forget to come back tomorrow to check out the next one. Remember, on various platforms, primarily Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub, and the audio podcast, you can subscribe to my content. For the audio podcast, you probably want to use Apple, Google, or Spotify. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. In order to find me on those platforms, you can go to the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, and CloudHub. You can also get to my content on Facebook by finding the Kurt's Religion and Politics page there. Minds, MINDS.com, where you will find me at the Kurt's Religion and Politics group, and Kurt's Religion and Politics.locals.com as well. You can look there. I post my daily video on various social media sites, really only about 3, Parler, Gab, and Twitter at present. I am at KP Schubert on each of them, and you can find me under them, and you can find the videos under me. You should be able to find my podcasts on Google and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It's also on podcasts.kpschubert.com. That's podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. If you're looking for me on various of the podcast sites, you probably want to search Kurt's Religion and Politics, not the Daily Summation. Keep in mind, you can subscribe to my content on various places that I put it. All constructive feedback is welcome. You can like, dislike, add a rumble, or give whatever feedback is available on any of the platforms that you can do such things. You can also add a comment on what I put there. Unless you're advertising or doing something that I believe will harm others, I'll leave your comments out there even if I don't agree with or understand them. I will try to let you know I've seen them when possible and may reply if I feel it's reasonable, appropriate, and possible, of course. Thanks again for viewing this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Politics. Don't forget to come back again for tomorrow's